Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Matt from Vetter Software. Many of you know me by now. And I'm happy to see the large crowd. I have muted all of you guys. Some of you, though, have some good music that you're playing in the background. So if you have questions, again, please send them in via chat. Or at the very end, feel free to then unmute yourself and ask. So what we're going to cover today is really happy to announce our QuickBooks integration. And I just want to, there's not much for me to show because I don't have a QuickBooks account to use. Oh, somebody shared their screen. Please don't do that. Thank you. That's good. I'll share my screen. And so in a nutshell, this is right now, it's being beta tested by a number of our clinics. It will be live, I think, on Friday or on Saturday. And so I'll have a whole nother product announcement going out that details it in, more so that everybody can see it. But essentially what QuickBooks, the integration will do, it is to our knowledge and what QuickBooks has told us, this is the most extensive integration on the market right now for any cloud-based product. Sorry, I need to mute people here. Getting background noise here, please. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. So let me go ahead and share my screen so I can, kind of what I'm talking about right now. And I'm going to go to right now a kind of my this is going to be posted in the customer community, what you're going to go see. And as I was saying, the QuickBooks integration, what it will do on an hourly basis, not just nightly, on an hourly basis, it will pull every financial transaction you do into your QuickBooks. So it will sync invoices, payments, returns, credits, refunds, write-offs, everything. Only thing it won't do is estimates, right? Because an estimate isn't a payment. It will begin by syncing all of your clients. It will sync your inventory. So just one thing so you know, when you will see in your, let's look at your QuickBooks inventory. Let's say you have whatever, Clavamox drops. We will give that in your QuickBooks, we will give it an ID. We'll give it a Vetter inventory ID. So you might see Clavamox drops -123. So that way you'll know the Clavamox drops from, in QuickBooks, that's your original one. The one with the ID number next to it is the Vetter, right, sync that's happening. We just have to do it that way. Same with clients. You'll see our clients in your QuickBooks will now have a client ID. But other than that, you have everything. We're really proud of this. Will be pulled on an hourly basis. And then you have all the data you or your accountant needs, right, in QuickBooks to run any other report you like, right? You still have the same reports in Vetter, but now you have real-time data that you can run reports out of QuickBooks too, which I know accountants love. So this is going to be posted in the customer community. It's going to show you the instructions. It's going to, and I'll jump to my account to show you this too. How you enable the QuickBooks Online integration. There will be an extension. Right now it's not there, but in a day or two, you'll see an extension in settings. You click it, right? You put in your QuickBooks account information, and that will give us permission, right, to update your QuickBooks Online account with data from your Vetter account. Okay. Now, it's going to then give you a prompt about, it's going to ask you an income field, and it's going to ask you service items. And this is all dependent on how you have things set up in QuickBooks, right? The income amount, let me see if I can make this larger for everybody. Let's, what we have here is, it's the default field that we use when we create inventory items, right? The values for the field are pulled from your chart of accounts. any item in your categories that have the type of income, right, and a detailed type of sales or product income will be available. So we're pulling this then from your QuickBooks account. So we're just going to pull exactly whatever says income and sale of product income. The services account field, which is this one right here, right? It's, again, QuickBooks gives you a list of suggestions, right? We're going to pull and line items, anything uses whatever service account you select, right? Whatever it is that you provide. Most people just say services. That's what we're going to pull from. After the integration, the following will happen. The inventory items will be added to your QuickBooks Online with an ID. Clients will be added. Now, one thing is, I need to do some muting here. Just want to make sure, sorry, give me a moment here. I see some comments have come in, so let me stop and take a look at the questions in chat. Okay. All right, great question. Will it sync for previous data? No, it will just for all data going forward. And I'm sorry, I need to do some muting here. Pardon me. Okay, thanks. So thank you for the question. It will only sync data moving forward. Okay. Now, the other thing that's key to note is under clients, under the client screen here, if there's already a match, right? Clients from your Vetter account will be added to your QuickBooks Online account, right? To the extent that we can find them. First name, last name, email address, right? If it already exists, we're not going to create a duplicate. If we can't find the match, we'll create the client for you. And they will have a client ID. So you'll know, hey, all of a sudden, where did this guy Tom Jones come from? There'll be a Vetter client ID behind it to let you know, hey, we've created it. So if there's a match, well, we won't duplicate it. If not, we'll create the client. And then everything will be automatically synced every hour. And to show that in action, and this will be available in the customer community, to show this in action, I see another comment or question, sorry. Don't they already have an ID? I'm assuming you're speaking of client IDs. Yeah, whether they do or they don't, right? I'm not looking at your QuickBooks account. Oh, yes, they do have a client ID within Vetter, correct? But when you just see, let's just say you have a client you haven't entered into QuickBooks yet. Vetter is going to create that client in QuickBooks, and it's going to use the Vetter client ID. So just all of a sudden you suddenly see in QuickBooks, hey, where did Tom Jones come from? Vetter has added Tom Jones in there, and the way to know that is there'll be an ID after. Yes, and we will use the client ID from Vetter. Correct. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to show you. I'm sharing my screen here. Now, this is what we call our demo account. It's not live yet. So under settings, you will then see the QuickBooks Online integration, right? And obviously free to use for everyone. And I come to here, I click this, right? And it's going to pop up with just what I was reading to you, your income account, right? Sales of product, and then the services. And now, right, QuickBooks gives you a whole bunch of suggested ones. This is just, and you can make your own, right? It's going to be, Vetter's going to go to the one that says services, right? Which is where we're at right there. And I would normally hit save. I'm not going to because this is the engineer's account. But that's all you got to do. And from then on, Vetter goes live and with the QuickBooks integration. Pretty straightforward. I will also, in a little bit later here, one topic of this office hours is how to work with letter templates. And so I'm going to move on to that in a moment. One other thing, though, while I have access to the engineer's account, and I don't often get to have that access, So I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to give the people who are here a preview of a feature coming out next week. So my next product announcement email is going to be pretty big. We have now the ability, you will have the ability to customize all of your outgoing messages. So for a long time, people wanted to, hey, you know, I want to customize what my reminder email says, what my, right, what the appointment confirmation email says, what the birthday email says, what have you, anything. What you're going to see next week in your configurations, you're going to see, oh, let me go back to configurations here. Sorry. You're going to click on the pull down and you're going to see view email defaults. And you will be able to, everything from appointment confirmation to boarding confirmation to any certificate that's sent, literally anything sent from Vetter, you will then be able to attach any message you want, right? I'll be able to, and here are all these different messages I've already created. It'll allow you to pull from hundreds or one, however many you create, and you will then be able to have a customizable message for every single communication that comes from Vetter. And it's then the default, it's stored there, and you'll be able to create as many or as few as you like. And, you know, you can say, oh, standard reminder message. You just hit it, and you're good to go. So I just wanted to give a little sneak preview, kind of peek, you know, like scenes from next episode, since I have the opportunity to use the account here to show you what's coming next week. So tune in next week for that too. I'm going to pause very quickly right now and see if there are other questions. Okay, I see one that says, okay, this looks like a QuickBooks. I'm going to read the question. I honestly, I'm not certain how to answer this. We use a VMG chart of accounts on QuickBooks and have a bookkeeper disperse our income into the correct with the configuration. Will we be able to direct specific sales of category items into specific QuickBook online accounts? Yes. So whatever the sales accounts are that you selected originally, they will go to the specific QuickBooks accounts. And then another question was details of just client transactions or cost of goods and fixed goods produce a balance sheet. Okay, following up. So I don't know how your QuickBooks is set up. It is pulling all of that data, right? So in other words, you want to produce a balance sheet, profit loss sheet, right? It's absolutely going to be able to do that. Will it take fixed costs from Vetter? No, right? Vetter's not a complete, right? Because we don't know what your energy costs are, your rents, right? Your salary costs. It's just going to take details of client transactions, not fixed goods. Does the integration apply to the desktop version? No, it does not. We're not able. So I have a lot of questions I'm getting right now. So trying to keep up here. This does not integrate to QuickBooks Desktop. It's technologically not possible. It's not, because what needs to happen is that you have what's called I'm sorry, I need to meet some people here. Just pardon me. Just doing some muting. So back to the question, which is really good about the desktop. Now, the way this works technologically, there's a thing called an API. An API stands for Assistant Programmer Interface. Once cloud computing hit the market, kind of about 5-6 years ago. Every product has, application programmer interface. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Right. It doesn't have, server-based programs don't have APIs. There's no way for us to connect with what's on site. We have to be able to connect via the cloud. Cloud-based programs have an API, and thank you, Tom, for correcting me. And they allow, that's why let's say your Facebook friends can be synced with your Instagram account or what have you. Anything that has an API, for example, Vetter has an API. And if you look at my screen here on Vetter under extensions, the very bottom, there's a Vetter software API. And that means that allows, for example, MWI to integrate with us, Patterson to integrate with us, Demand Force, right? QuickBooks and Vetter can talk back and forth with that API. Unfortunately, their desktop version doesn't have that. Now, quick heads up, those of you using the desktop on QuickBooks. QuickBooks has stopped supporting the desktop version for Macs. They still have it, but they're not going to support it. They're already end-of-lifing it. And they will end-of-life QuickBooks Desktop. They will move to the cloud within the next year or 18 months. It'll be entirely in the cloud. So I just want to give people a heads up there. So there were a lot of questions here, so let me come back to this. Does the integration of, I want to know if invoices that transfer to QuickBooks, can it only go into one QuickBooks account automatically, or can I tell it where to go depending on what category items were used in that invoice? I'm to be honest, I don't know that answer. I usually have an answer for everything, but in this case, I don't know because I'm not privy. I haven't been able to work it into a QuickBooks account. I know when you're setting up the account, right, depending on the amount of categories you can allocate it to, then Vetter should be able to do this, but I am not certain. I cannot give an affirmative answer to that. And I think Audrey asked that question. And Audrey, my CEO, Sagi Solomon, he is an accountant and a lawyer, a dangerous combination. And he wrote the software too, freakishly smart. I would direct that question to Sagi himself. That's SAGI at vettersoftware.com. Or you can email me, Audrey, Matt at vettersoftware.com, and I will follow up with him, and we'll get back to you. Okay? Somebody asked, if we added the fixed items to inventory, the fixed costs to inventory, right, would that transfer over? Yeah, theoretically, but it's transferring over transactions, right? I don't know how fixed costs such as rent and utilities, for example, I don't know how you'd be able to create a transaction history for that in Vetter. I guess theoretically you could, right? You could create up a client being your landlord, right? Yes, you could do that. Or a client being the local power company, and you could pay off the invoices in Vetter. To that question, would it migrate fixed costs? If you wanted to go to the extent of creating, let's say, your local power company as a client and invoice and billing, yeah, it would do that. That's a pretty original. I like that. It's an original thought. I like that. That's Deneen. Deneen, I like how you think. That might make it more work for you, but theoretically, you can create anything in inventory. I have another question. I have clients in my QuickBooks that aren't in Vetter yet. Will this pull the information for those clients into Vetter? No. It will sync. The clients have to be in Vetter. It will not pull client information from QuickBooks into Vetter. That's from BJ. Thank you. That's a good question. It will not pull client information from QuickBooks. So obviously there's going to be a lot of more questions on this. So we will post as much as possible in the community. I will follow up, of course, next week with this, right, in next week's office hours. And I imagine this will be a topic for the foreseeable future. But for right now, we believe we've got this with the beta. We have about 6 clinics that have been beta testing this. We believe we've got this down. Even late fees, everything is going to be pulled moving forward once the integration goes live. Okay. And Audrey, thanks for following up with Sagi. I'm sorry, I don't have that answer. I'm putting my email address here. I'm putting it in chat. Most of you already have it, matt@vettersoftware.com. And you can follow up there with more questions for me. And then next week, I will also feature, right, I'll feature the QuickBooks thing again, and I will show off our new, like I said, our new email defaults, which I know many people have been asking for. We're really excited for this. The ability to say everything is customizable moving forward, okay? Specifically, a lot of clinics have wanted reminders to be printed on an invoice. And right now we have a separate reminder certificate. But you know what? See where it says invoice here? You could have a letter with the patient reminders on it that'll automatically then print out with the invoice. So every communication from Vetter will have the ability to have a customizable kind of message for your clients. So I hope you guys are equally excited. I can hear it in your voices. What is the date we can set up sync for Vetter and QuickBooks online? Look, I was told as of this morning, 2-3 days. It might be Friday, it might be Saturday. I will follow up with a product. We will follow up with a product announcement. Email the day it goes live so everyone is aware of it. So you'll be informed. And I wish I could give you a succinct date. That's from Lisa Carter. But, if you've ever worked with engineers, if an engineer tells me it's ready tomorrow to me means 12:01 a.m. To an engineer, it means 11:59 p.m. at the end of the day. And if you've worked with engineers, that's how they operate. So the exact date, I can't tie that down, but we will send out an email the second it goes live. And again, there's my email address there, matt@vettersoftware.com. I'm now going to shift to working with letter templates, and we'll see how many people stay online. If you were just here for the QuickBooks, you can sign off now. If you want to stay for the letter templates, I will start that in a moment. And thank you, everybody, for your attendance, and I look forward to hearing from you with any other questions. All right, take care, and I'm going to switch over to my other account now for letter templates. Now let's see how many people stay online. And let me just pause and let's see what. All right, I still have 15 people here for letter templates. Outstanding. Okay, great. So now, since you're here with the letter templates, I'm going to actually, you know what? We're going to give you another sneak preview. The next 2 weeks in Vetter are going to be pretty big with product announcements. Right now, this is my normal Vetter demo account. Let me show you something else that's happening. And this is my engineering account here. And I think it might be live by now. I mean, sorry, it might be, I think it's in QA testing now. And if I go, let's see, to a letter, I grab a simple letter here. If you notice, so this is also going to be brand new. Our existing letter templates don't have all of this information, but you will now be able to add, before it was just, maybe patient, client information, things from the medical note. We'll now be able, for example, to include reminders, right? But billing information too. boarding information, right? Appointment information, which is really neat. Like, hey, your next appointment will be on, right? And to have people to pull this information in. So we're adding a lot more, I guess would say, for want of a better phrase, we're going to make that feature more robust, letter templates. And then I'll be doing more, right? More weekly office hours to show you how the letters can be incorporated into almost every feature of your practice. Okay, I'm going to jump out of my demo account right now, the engineering account. And I'm going to jump back to my, what's live in Vetter account. Okay, and letter templates, I find when I look at all the support, messages that come into support calls, I find that this is one of the maybe most underutilized features in Vetter. And if properly used, it can be really powerful, and especially with the new enhancements coming up. So I'm going to jump very quickly. Let's review the letters we have. I go to settings, under templates, right? We have, right? I'm not dealing with the other items here, content snippets, just going to take a look at letters. And I'm going to create a new letter. And letters can be used for everything, right? For care instructions, to a prescription refill, whatever you'd like them to be, okay? And they can also be used, for example, as, for some clinics, use them as anesthesia monitoring sheets. Let's just say I call this sample letter, okay? And I come to here, and I go to letter. So, first off, in terms of formatting the letter, let's just say I wanted to do, a lot of people aren't aware of this, the ability to use tables. Let's just say I have a, intake form, or, it's during a surgery, and, maybe it's, it's like this, time, patient, procedure, amount. Again, I'm just making this up here. And this letter then would work in real time, right? I can do, what do I want to do with the table? Do I want to insert a row before the table, like I did right there, right? Do I want to delete that row? I can do these things. Insert column after, delete column, right? I can, hey, let's have the text color. I would want this to be, bold purple, right? What have you. And it's going to go ahead and let's do this here, right? It's going to be purple. That's not very clear for you to see. Sorry, let's take a different color here. Let's take red. And I want it to be bold, right? Or italicized. I can do a lot of things, right? Basic editing features here. I can use bullet points, right? Circle, disc, square. Some clinics have mentioned, hey, we would have liked the opportunity to have numbering happen automatically, right? But you can just do, 1, 2, 3. Will we add that in one day as a default instead of bullets? Sure, we will. But for now, we had clinics say, how come we can't number? Well, it may not be in the formatting, but you can just do it regularly, okay? Now, that's kind of like the basic formatting process here. What can I do when setting up a letter? Use the letter information right here. First, start off with, well, what's today's date? And what's the letter title? Right? And then this is where I start and I say, dear, right? And to the owner, right? Say, dear, right? First name, space, last name, comma, right? It was a pleasure seeing, right? And I put in here patient's name. So what the software is going to do, it will pull automatically, right, from the records, because it's going to know what's going on. This is what we call a mail merge, right? We're giving it a default command which will then be merged in with actual items. A pleasure seeing today. Here are some findings from, today's exam, right? And maybe I say, for example, I'm going to use my little bullet point here and say, age, right? Weight, date of birth, basic things in terms of communicating with people, your clients, right? Breed, again, I'm just kind of making this up here. You get the idea. Please, and here's a great feature. A lot of people don't use don't use the information from the medical note in letters. So right now, when people create letters, a lot of times they just see this and they say, oh, I can only add, these basic things, owner, recipient, etc. But you know what? Well, the way it works is if you open a letter inside a medical note, it will then be able to pull, right, from the medical note and be able to pull, right, patient information such as, prescriptions, labs, services, etc. Please see my, medical note from today's visit, okay? And that'll be below, right? I've also included, right, I've also included here, we'd say, let's say the name, Fluffy will pop up, apostrophe S, reminders, right? So this is all going to populate in. Thank you thanks for your business, right? Now, okay. Now here, you're the author, right? And I'm going to put the author, and I'm going to drop my signature in. This signature I've created in my staff profile, right? And then I'm going to put, let's say, Dr. Right, first name, space, last name. You get the idea, right? DEA number. You get the idea. And now I've created a letter. And I can always edit this stuff later. I hit save. And I'm going to show you this letter then in action. And I'm going to pause very quickly to see if there are any questions. Okay, no. So let me take this letter here, right? And I think it's very simple. And another thing that you can do in letters, which people are unaware of, is you could use content snippets, right? Pre-formatted content, which is another one of our templates, right? And so if you have standard care instructions, for example, and you're going to laugh at my basic care instructions, but here, I'll put it in too so you can see it. Here are care instructions for, again, we'll take a patient name there, and I'll put the care instructions right beneath here. I'm just going to hit content snippet. Oops. Wait a second. I did my mistake here. So I think I did something wrong there. Oh, I don't have any. Okay, my mistake. I don't have that in. There we. Sorry here. I made a mistake. I don't have anything in these content snippets, which is why it's not showing up. I'm sorry, in my demo account. But those content snippets, we can pull those then later. I'll show you how that works. I made a mistake there. My apologies there. I didn't have anything in this in my demo account. So let me go ahead right now, and I'm going to save this again. And now I'm going to jump to a patient of mine. And I was taking a little sample. If you've ever done demos with me, you know I love the Smurfs. I can't lie. They make me laugh. And we have Azrael here. And I'm going to create a medical note for Azrael. And my goal in doing this is I believe that it is most efficient when you add as much as you can to the medical note. And I'll show you why. First of all, adding bundles and charges directly from the note, right, allows everything to show up neatly, right, in the patient's record. The same thing you're going to see with letters. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to start a new medical note. And I'm just going to grab these are my notes I've created. I'm going to just grab the basic SOAP. And we'll just say it's an exam. Provider is me. Papa Smurf was the referrer. And we're in now. Now, I know this is about letters, this office hours, but just to show you what I was talking about earlier, a lot of clinics add records. You can add records directly to the patient page. Doesn't make a difference. But like I said, I love doing everything, if possible, from the medical note. So just so we have a kind of a complete note here, I'm going to add a quick bundle, whatever, acupuncture bundle, let's just say. That's fine. Doesn't really make a difference. Boom, it's there. I just want you to see how it looks on the patient record. I also want to add the letter, if desirable, right from the patient, right from the medical note too. Even if I have attachments, ideally, I'd like to do it. I love to do it from the medical note. I come to letter, and here's let's find our sample letter. Here we go. And owner is Mr. Gargamel, and I hit save. So now, if you remember our letter, right, that had all these little blanks in there, remember that from settings? It is now pulled in data directly, right, from the software. And, for example, here are all the reminders. That's kind of neat. I mean, you can send reminder certificates home with clients, but if I can put it in a letter too and have it be part of care instruct, everything else, then it's really powerful, right? Redundancy matters. You want to increase compliance. And for my signature, all this is here, but how about findings from today, the medical note? I come to here and I hit edit. And by the way, these are attachments that exist in the patient record. If I wanted to send home, for example, let's add an attachment, like these are x-rays I have right here. If I wanted to send these home, right, notice now the attachment's added up here. You can say, hey, we're sending home x-rays too. Right? There they go. Now I hit edit. What I'm going to do is, please see my medical note from the day's visit. How much do I want to drop in? Right? Subject, right? I can put in the whole note. Maybe I only want client communication. Right? But you'll see what this looks like now. Right? It's going to give me my whole medical, everything I have in the medical note. Maybe just the diagnoses you want to be seen in there, right? So when I add the letter from a medical note, it can now pull in information from the note, right? It can also, if I wanted to, include, right? Hey, what did we do in today's note, right? So do I want to include the services and the prescriptions, right? And this is what we did. So when I open that note when I open that letter inside a medical note, I now have the ability to show a great deal of the patient's history, increasing client communication and hopefully increasing compliance and ultimately improving the patient's health. Okay. And you guys get the idea here how these things work. Now, my content snippets, I realize I don't have these filled out. That's the problem. But if I wanted to add things into here, if I use my content snippets properly, under care instructions, right, I don't have it, so it's not working because I don't have anything in here. But if you had these, you could pull information into here too. Okay. So now, how does this letter look? Right, boom. Now, many people export the letters directly from here. Email, fax, print, it's all good. All right. And in fact, if I wanted to email the letter, right, hey, very easy. Let's email it to Mr. Gargamel. Boom, done. But I also want to show you a more efficient way, I think, of doing this and also here I have a medical note. in the medical note right here, the letter is attached. View letters. And this is nice. Again, like I say, I like to have everything attached to the medical note, right? Because then when I look at the patient record, for example, medical note, right? Boom, boom, boom. If I look at letters, right? And I have like 8,000 letters for Azrael, so it's going to take a moment to load, and I apologize for the delay. And here's the letter. It's tied to the medical note as a reference. I like that. Now, that same letter, of course, will show up in client communication too. And I come to communications. Oops. It was electronic communication, an emailed letter to client. Now, since it's also a document, I'm going to create some level of redundancy, but it's also here, the sample letter. So Vetter's trying its best there to create as much record backup for you as possible. Okay, let me pause and see if there's any questions. Nope, doing fine. Great. So I'm going to show two last things with letters. And another one is the use of consent forms. We get a lot of people say, hey, I'd like to see a consent form. And people forget we can pull that directly from the software. We can do this with letter templates, right? So I'm going to jump back to good old Azrael, and I'm going to do 2-in-1 here. I'm going to do a appointment check-in with a letter and then check you out. And I'll show you a different way to dispense the letter. So let me just come to here. Let's grab, I'm just going to hit exam very quickly. And for variety, let's use Homer and Santa's Little Helper. Hey, don't laugh. I used to use politicians. I had every president, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. I used to have them in here for demos. Then after our last election, unfortunately, people get, politicians are not a good topic anymore. People tend to get angry. So I've reverted to cartoon characters. I consider them one and the same, politicians and cartoon characters. So let's give some equal love here to Homer and Santa's Little Helper. I'm just going to check them in very quickly, and you'll see what I'm doing with this. Because I want to show you how the letters can be used in a checkout feature. I'm just going to check them in. Okay, I'm not even going to create a bundle, anything. I do need to create an invoice. Well, actually, here, I'll create the medical note. I'm not going to worry about a bundle. I do need to create an invoice. I hit new invoice, and I hit save. Now I'm going to jump into the appointment itself, medical note right here. And I'm going to add, let's just say the doctor takes a look. I'm sorry, we need to, for example, euthanize our little guy. Okay, sorry, Santa's Little Helper, but don't worry, I'll bring you back to life soon. You're 29 years old. You've survived 29 years of The Simpsons. You'll survive this demo. Okay, and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to drop very quickly. I'm going to drop a bundle in here, and you say, "Oh, it's a euthanasia bundle." Well, Mr. Simpson, we will be needing your consent form. Okay, not a problem. Having had my own pets euthanized before, it's a very trying process, and I know, I've been through this. So it takes a moment here, right, because we're updating records and inventory items and reminders and okay, software, behave. Is there something up with my internet? Sorry. My internet's not behaving right now. I'm sorry. If something like this happens in Vetter, close out of it, do this again. I apologize. I've not had that happen. I can't remember the last time this happened, but let's try this again. It could be just with my internet. I want to show you the consent form in action. Something is not behaving for me here. I apologize. Something's not behaving for me. I'm having I'm having spotty reception right now. I apologize for that. Let me just try this one. Well, oops. Sorry. It just, now it did it. Now it actually, sorry, it was internet delay. So I have my bundle in there. My apologies. Now, here I want to add the consent form. So I come here, new letter, euthanasia consent form. Owner goes to, is Homer Simpson. I hit save. And now, notice this has already been kind of filled out here, the date, everything. Now I go ahead and hit edit. And notice where it says signature field. This is where the owner is going to go ahead and sign, right? And so this is the, notice is the only thing that's missing. If everything else is filled in, this is blank. Come up here and hit sign letter. Now, if you have a tablet, they can use their fingertip, right? A stylus, just sign there. I have a laptop, and any of you are old enough, remember Etch-a-Sketch? You can do an Etch-a-Sketch type thing for signature. Not the easiest to do. Or we could just type it. Kind of like a DocuSign type thing. Homer Simpson, boom, and I hit sign. And now the signature's been saved. The consent form, here it is. And now I can export that form right immediately from here. But the reason I did that appointment there, I wanted to show you the idea of using it as a checkout feature. And I encourage everybody to do this. I love the ability to check out because here I can take, oh gosh darn it, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong. Let me go back in the schedule. I clicked on Homer's name. Because in the checkout feature, I can take care of all my paperwork needs. For one, in the checkout feature, it's going to show me the entire client billing history. As you can see with Homer, it's quite extensive, right? If I were just to take what's happening presently, right, I just, what have you. I'm just going to take a few invoices here. And let's go ahead and I select a payment type. It's credit card. But watch this here under documents. And I'm going to stress this time and time again. You can send home all of these items individually, but why not include them at once? Reminder certificate, right, letter. Well, someone who got euthanized won't need reminders, but you know what I mean. A receipt, I can send home vaccine certificates. But especially if it's for a sensitive procedure, right, and be able to tell a client, gosh, I remember when I had my cat euthanized, and then they hand you the consent letter as you leave. And they're trying to be thorough, and I appreciate that. It was a VCA hospital, and the last thing I wanted was that letter in my hand, right? Now, here we have the ability to say, I'm terribly sorry about what happened, Mr. Simpson. All the documentation from the day's visit will be sent to you via email. Just kind of makes it a little bit, I guess, more caring and considerate. But just so you can see what happens, in the checkout feature now, if I include the letters, right, within the appointment, I now have everything is printed out for me. Now, I'm doing a print preview PDF, which takes a moment to load. So I'm going to pause very quickly and see if there's any questions here. Okay, no. So let's just show you what this all looks like. Sorry, when you print it, it will print fast. PDF previews take a bit of time. So I'm going to see right now if there's any other questions that I could show you or answer for letters. I guess in review, what I would stress is, right, use the editing option, the formatting options in the letter templates, right? Like I showed you, anesthesia monitoring form. You can create things with columns and tables, right? And different colors and italics and bold and everything. And use it also, right, within the note itself, within the medical note, because then I can pull medical records from there. I can include reminders, right? It just makes it all that more powerful. And if I check somebody out, I just use this to show you I can have the letters all there at once. Here's my vaccine certificate. here are my, oh, he got euthanized. That's why there's no reminders. Well, see, the software is working. Sorry, little guy. Paid, right? Paid, all the invoices that were paid, and, you know, a little thank you receipt. And finally, here's the consent form. Again, letters can all be mailed individually, but do it at checkout. That way it'll save you a bunch of clicks, and it's all done at once. And then, of course, they are simultaneously recorded in the client communication history and in the patient and client letter history. Okay? And I'm going to, just to, you know, so everybody knows, I'm going to go back in, and because we like Santa's little helper. And as my last act, I'm going to resurrect him to make everything better. Notice his reminders are gone now. And our little guy has been resurrected. So on that note, I will end today's office hours on a happy note. I've resurrected animals. I see there's any other questions. No, we seem to be good. Now, coming up, like I said, a couple of weeks, we'll have even more enhancements to the letter templates, as I showed you there, as kind of a sneak preview. Next week, we will also cover the email, the ability, right, to customize every communication. A recording of this, of today's office hours, will be posted in the customer community a little bit later today. Other than that, I thank all of you for your time and patience, and wish you a great day. Again, this is Matt from Vetter Software. Take care. Bye-bye.